early on, Muslim scholars, grammarians, exegetes, they were using Arabic grammar in how they understood Arabic grammar based on pre-Islamic poetry, based on early corpus of Arabic literature to read the Quran. And if there are certain verses or certain expressions in the Quran which are not grammatical, and it's very obvious to anyone who goes to these early works and reads some of the problematic, grammatical phrases or verses in the Quran, that they were struggling with this. Like, this is not good Arabic. How are we going to harmonize, the rules of fasıh or eloquence in Arabic with, these expressions in the Quran. And therefore, many of the early scholars, especially grammarians, they rejected a lot of those readings of the because variant readings, again, it's not dialects. There are many variant readings which have to do with reading words in the Quran with different case endings, which means different syntactical arrangement of certain words. And many grammarians, including Sibawayh, who rejected many of these readings based on Arabic grammar. Arabic grammar does not dictate that we read this in the mansub or in the accusative. We should read it, in that way. However, when the whole notion of the readings of the Quran, the 7 readings, the 10 readings, and even the Quran being, of course, the ultimate manifestation of eloquence and balagha and fasāh, theologians, got into the fray, and they started, promulgating the idea that the Quran dictates Arabic grammar. So even if there's something, that you think is not grammatical, it should be grammatical because it is the Quran. And many statements, especially post, I would say, 6th century, 5th, 6th century, I would say 6th century Hijri. So I'd say maybe 11th century, 12th century AD, that you would often read in the works of, those theologians or Muslim scholars in general, that we don't heed the opinions of those grammarians like Sibawayh or Abu Ali al-Farisi or al-Khalil, etc. They are grammarians, but we have the Quran. We received its recitation from the Prophet, and it must be true, right? So again, this I want to call it, reciprocal, relationship between the Quran and the Arabic grammar. It's very complicated. It's like the egg and the chicken, in a sense. Do we use rules of Arabic grammar to read the Quran, or do we use the Quran, to modify the rules of Arabic grammar? And it's very difficult, especially when our corpus of early Arabic literature, I'm including Quran under literature in the sense that it's a literary document, that the earliest we have is the Quran and pre-Islamic poetry. Both of them are very similar, in syntax and vocabulary, etc. So that's a kind of dilemma in that regard. And again, scholars, with respect to their affiliation, whether you are a grammarian, whether you are an exegete, whether you are a theologian, you would advance and adopt a different view based on what you think is most suitable for your discipline. So you read al-Tabari, you read al-Zamakhshari, you read Ibn Atiyah, they were exegetes, and then you clearly find them opposing many of those, not when I say canonical reading, it doesn't mean the whole reading, okay? I'm just talking about many of the individual variant readings which belong to a bigger system of a canonical reading. So, and then you would find statements by them saying this is not grammatical, this is against eloquence, this reader didn't know what he was doing. However, all such opinions disappeared later on. You would never find an exegete post 6th century who would criticize Hamzah, Zayyat, or Ibn Amir, or Ibn Kathir or Qumbul. All these readers, they all just became. You have to take the entirety of the reading with all its individual readings, whether they make sense or not grammatically, and then you have to justify them. Because this is the this is your standard. Your standard is the Quran, and from the Quran you make Arabic grammar, and not the other way around. For some of the early exegetes, for them they already had a clear idea what Arabic grammar should be, and this is why they rejected several readings based on the standard.